This episode is brought to you by Audi. The road is calling. Embrace the thrill of the drive with the all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron. Featuring effortless power, serious acceleration, and advanced Audi tech. It's not just a new EV. It's a new way to experience driving. The all-new, fully electric Audi Q6 e-tron is here. The next chapter of Audi starts now.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
You're listening to the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers, episode 325, The Muppet Christmas Carol. It's the Rubber Chicken Factory.
Welcome to the Animation Addicts podcast with the Rotoscopers, the number one place to get your animation fix with animation addicts just like you. Each episode, we dive into the wonderful world of animation featuring Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar, and everything in between. From hilarious discussions and movie reviews to interviews with industry insiders, this show's mission is to brighten your day through our love of animation. So hop on your nerdy couch, grab some snacks, and get ready to hang out with your animation besties because it's time to dive into today's episode.
Hey there, animation addicts. I'm Morgan Stradling.
And I'm Chelsea Robson.
Chelsea, if you could be a Muppet, what kind of Muppet would you be? What would your Muppet look like? Give me a description.
Oh, the one that comes to my mind is somehow I would be involved with Animal as my drummer. So obviously I'm the rock star.
The rock star Muppet, hair. Yes. I imagine that your Muppet would, you could probably get away with having like a pink skin or hot pink or like something fun,
Yes.
But you definitely have to have like the Miss Piggy hair. Like you need a wig. So you're going to have a big blonde wig.
Pull out my Dolly wig.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, I was evoking Dolly in my mind. So we're right on the same page.
Although
I don't know about the bosoms. I don't know if that's your style.
Not
That's
really my style.
That's really signature to her.
We'll just throw in the hair. It's fine enough.
We have to have, you're probably going to have a sparkly outfit.
Yes.
Yes. And a microphone.
Yes.
And then,
that is my Muppet.
Yes. But would you, there's some Muppets that it's so funny when we were watching this with my kids, my little 3-year-old said, he has no eyes. The one that has no eyes but glasses. He thought that was really strange, but funny at the same time. So they do some like funny little things. Yeah. There's one with a really long eyelashes and it's almost so heavy that her eyes don't ever open, So do you have anything distinctive beyond just...
Yeah, I would definitely do pink face, big curly, almost the extent of Miss Piggy hair. Because she has the Dolly wig on. And I'm talking a 1970s Dolly, obviously. And I know that they do have one that has like giant sunglasses as she comes on. I don't think I would do that, though. I'm not sure. Maybe I would. It's nice to know that you're not having to put on that much eye makeup.
Yeah. Yeah.
There she is. No, she does. Yes. Morgan just popped it up. And the girl has a Les Paul that she's got, and then she doesn't have glasses. She just has like these long eyelashes, so she doesn't actually open her eyes. So
yes, big lips,
not too bad.
Yeah, some platform.
Yeah,
I'd go with sandals. That. Yeah, great. I love it. What is this one's called?
What about you?
Janice is the name of this rocker. Yeah. I think your eyes would open though. You're not really a fake. You're not a fake eyelash gal where it's so obnoxious that you can't even open your eyes. But For me, I don't know. I think I'll go with the yarn hair.
Okay.
I'll do long yellow yarn hair. Since you're going to be pink, I have a pinkish undertone. So, that really, because you have your pink or your yellow undertone, but that's fine. I'll just go with like a peach skin. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to be a green Muppet or anything.
Okay.
Let's do the peach. I have big eyes, so I've been told. Like, not big eyes like they're bulging, but we'll just go for it, and we'll have some big bulging eyes.
Okay. Like a Bleecker kind of look.
Yeah. Why not? Throw some eyelashes on there. A cute little outfit and call it good.
Perfect.
The Muppets are great. I love their designs. I love how cute and creative they are. So we are going to be talking today. We are entering our Christmas era. Tis the season. So after the past few duds that we have reviewed on the podcast, and it seems like there have been quite a few. We need, not Wicked. I will not say Wicked was not a dud.
No, it wasn't.
But animation wise,
yeah,
we'll get into discussion about is puppetry animation. They've been real stinkers, and so we need a palate cleanser. So we're going to be doing some really fun movies for the next few weeks, some Christmas classics, and what isn't more classic than the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Imagine what's possible when learning doesn't get in the way of life. At Capella University, our game-changing FlexPath learning format lets you set your own deadlines so you can learn at a time and pace that works for you. It's an education you can tailor to your schedule. That means you don't have to put your life on hold to pursue your professional goals. Instead, enjoy learning your way and earn your degree without missing a beat. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Uh-oh, the last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
I can say to my new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, hey, find a keto-friendly restaurant nearby and text it to Beth and Steve. And it does, without me lifting a finger. So I can get in more squats anywhere I can. 1, 2, 3.
Will that be cash or credit?
Credit. 4.
Galaxy S25 Ultra, the AI companion that does the heavy lifting so you can do you. Get yours at Samsung.com. Compatible with select apps. Requires Google Gemini account. Results may vary based on input. Check responses for accuracy.
All right, before we get into talking about the Muppet Christmas Carol, let's talk about the who, what, when, where, why. Directed by Brian Henson, screenplay Jerry Jewell. It's obviously based on The Muppet Show by Jim Henson and A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, so our two worlds collide. Production company, Walt Disney Pictures and Jim Henson Productions. It was released December 11th, 1992. And as far as the budget goes, the budget was $12 million. Just a very, I like that. That's very humble.
That is
and
nice.
Box office, it did $27.2 million.
Okay.
So this film was not involved with Jim Henson at all. Jim Henson died in 1990. And his son was approached by a talent agent who said, hey, you should do this. The greatest story of all time. And they were thinking of doing it as a TV film. And then they ended up hiring Jerry Jewell, which we talked about, and working on this. And so this is a very interesting film because it's serious yet silly at the same time.
Yeah.
And it masterfully pairs those two and makes them work together instead of in opposition.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I was watching this and I think it was like 2 years ago, I read the Christmas Carol. Mm-hmm. And the book itself is I would say, probably one of the biggest influences on our society of all time, because it really wasn't until after that book that Christmas became a celebrated holiday with everybody around. It was just kind of like, it was right in the Victorian era. And so you had Queen Victoria, who she comes out and she actually makes like the Christmas tree a thing. And she starts making all of these things happen and around Christmas. And it was right around the same era where you have this book come out, and it from the bottom up helped to kind of create this imagery of what Christmas really is, whether you're rich or poor. And it really is, it's so thoughtful. Like when you go in and you read it, I noticed that as I was younger, like, the story of it. I've seen Mickey's Christmas Carol. Come on, who hasn't? And I'd seen this one. And then also there were other stories, the other renditions of the movie. And it has played over and over really well. And the meaning of it changes as you get older too, which is one of those signs of just an amazing classic.
Yeah. I love The Christmas Carol. I've read it multiple times. My son, who's in second grade, he's reading it right now. And I feel like it's his first real, adult piece of fiction. Yeah. It's not necessarily I remember reading it in sixth grade. So it's not necessarily, it's like an adult story, but it's by one of these adult authors that's more of like a serious, we're moving out of the kiddie realm. And so I'm excited for him to read it. He saw this first, so he'll have a little bit familiarity. And you said, the film or the book takes things so seriously. And it really, I think it does it. It's not a long novel, but it very succinctly describes everything that's happening and paints the picture. And you really feel the heaviness weigh on Scrooge. And it's so expertly done with the past, present, future. And it's set up very well and different characters, and you really grow to love these characters, and you're rooting for Scrooge, surprisingly. And, since you don't want to make light of this, you don't want to make it silly. Before Disney had done the Mickey Christmas Carol, and that wasn't necessarily silly, over the top, but it's definitely, the animated characters, and there's certain things there. Donald Duck is playing, Fred. But when they were considering people to do the role of Ebenezer Scrooge, they ultimately decided on Michael Caine. And when he was discussing about this role, he says, "I'm going to play this movie like I'm working with the Royal Shakespeare Company. I will never wink. I will never do anything Muppety. I'm going to play Scrooge as if it was an utterly dramatic role and there are no puppets around me." So I love that because you get that feeling. He is serious. He is the really one serious element in this world that's so silly, just silly based on how odd everyone looks, right?
Right.
There are some silly characters.
Other than Michael Caine, the casting of this, you're having Miss Piggy as in there and Kermit the Frog and Tiny Tim. It's like,
well, and even you have Gonzo, who's the least Charles Dickensy character of all. And that's specifically why they chose him to do that. And then they also have Rizzo the Rat as a sidekick, and he's supposed to, add a little humor, be a bit of a Greek chorus. And it's just so well done. I know I'd seen this movie before. Definitely wasn't the first time I'd seen it, but it'd been a long time. And my daughter initially was like, I don't want to watch this. When you're unsure about things, they look weird. You're like, I don't want to watch this. But within the first song, essentially, she was all in. I pretended like, oh, we're going to turn it off. No, don't turn it off. Don't turn it off. They loved it. And I loved it. I did not want to turn it off for bedtime, but 7:30 hits and Mom is a stickler for that bedtime. So we had to do a two-parter.
Oh, nice. I actually have watched this movie in the last 6 months or so. I don't remember watching it in theaters, but I have watched it in the last 6 months, and it was because I was preparing for the Best of the Rest musicals episode. And there were a couple of reasons why it wasn't included. And one was because the types of songs that are in this, it is a musical. I would count it as a musical, but it's not like a Broadway musical where every song kind of pushes the plot forward. It's just kind of let's celebrate the moment. But they're all very well put in. They do a good job of celebrating the moment of each part of this movie. And there were a couple other reasons why the movie was not included in that episode. Was one, we decided it wasn't completely animated, even though it is. I would say it is the illusion of life.
Oh yes,
but Morgan said no. So
well, yeah, it is the illusion of life. But typically the illusion of life for animation is when you are taking things frame by frame and having to recreate each frame. Whereas this is kind of live action with puppets that aren't human, but it's still live action, whether you have someone in a dinosaur costume or someone in a, any sort of costume would still be considered live action, but just because these are puppets. So there is puppetry, certain puppetry animation where you're using a puppet as your animation instead of drawing on a pencil or computer. And then you're taking that frame by frame and using the puppet as that. So it's a gray area for sure, but nonetheless, I'm including it here in our review, but apparently not in that list.
It was fine. It really, it was making it very difficult to figure out where it would go in my in the game that I had played. So it's fine.
Yes. And this movie, it made a modest $27.2 million. Initially, they wanted this to be a TV film for ABC, but then they decided to extend it to a feature-length film. And it really didn't do that great when it was released. It did, 5 or 6 million upon initial release and opened in 6th place. And then shortly after it was released, it just didn't stand a chance because a few weeks later, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, and Aladdin were released. And this, did I say the release date? No, I did not. It was December 11th, 1982. So they didn't really push it for the Thanksgiving release. I'd be interested to see what came out. But then they didn't want to keep it for, entirely Christmas. They put it in this middle area, which, you don't hear of a ton of movies come. It's either you're going to hit the big Thanksgiving or right after. And I'm trying to see, Thanksgiving movies that came out in 1992, but I'm getting sort of lists of films set around Thanksgiving. No, that's not what I requested, but that's okay. So let's talk about this movie. This one is so much fun. I never saw this in theaters. I really wish I would have. And I think the big star of the show is Michael Caine, who might know as Alfred from
yes,
the Batman series.
I have written at least 3 times in my notes, wow, Michael Caine is so good. He just really there's something just so endearing about him being fully immersed in the role and also just everything else being so light.
Yes.
And it just he's so crotchety at the beginning. He does a really good job at that. But even then, at the end, through the whole thing, there's just so much more humanity that is brought out of his eyes, out of his face. And you really start to feel it. And dang it, I cried. And I was like, oh my gosh, Tiny Tim.
Yeah.
No. And I was fully immersed in this movie.
I loved it. He is such a standout, and what a beautiful decision for them to do this and not to make it entirely silly and Muppety, as he says. He just adds so much life and realness, and you focus on him and you're not distracted, and you really care for Scrooge and his choices. And wow, how did he become this way? And you feel bad. You feel bad for Scrooge for what could have been. You see him as a child, and he's excited to see himself as a child. And that's a sad moment because he's like, oh, look at me. And you see he's full of life. But then slowly, just the decisions that he's made over time, because he's emphasized money over the relationships and how those pay dividends, unfortunately, in his life, where now he's an old man and he's crotchety, that no one cares for him so much. There are a few family members that try, and there are a few, and Bob Cratchit cares for him and is a sweet soul. And, gives him grace, and they have that moment where they're like, let's say a prayer and thank Mr. Scrooge. And the mom freaks out because he has done this to you. And I just love seeing that. And it's really good. So interesting choice is that all the classic Muppets that are kind of main characters, but they're none of the ghosts. The ghosts of from Jacob Marley, they added a brother, and then they had the 2 old guys. And I'm sorry, I'm not a Muppet super fan who knows each one of these names. And I know there's a lot of drama online about what's happening with the Muppets 3D at Disney Hollywood Studios. So Jacob Marley, Statler, and Waldorf. So they're the guys that typically, they're in the theater making these crotchety remarks, just, jeering. And
they're
heckling.
amazing.
Yeah. And, they obviously you can't have one without the other. So instead, in this one, they made the Marley brothers. Both of the Marley brothers had died, where in obviously the fictitious work, it's just Jacob Marley, who's the business partner. So they add those. But as far as all the others, the, Ghost of Christmas Present is an original character. The Ghost of Christmas Past and the Ghost of Christmas Future are original characters that they designed for this. And The one that really threw me off was the Ghost of Christmas
Past?
Present? The girl, the really creepy girl.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah, the
past,
one who
okay.
looks like Renesmee.
Ah!
Yeah. Like she's so creepy.
It.
It's so creepy.
But she didn't even look like a puppet to me.
She wasn't, and I don't think that she is. I was trying to think of who she is, and she isn't anybody. I think, with this, the past and also future are basically kind of people that they're like, man, we'll just throw in there. And
they created specifically, they chose to not do people you would recognize. And I don't know how I feel about that. I felt like they felt like it would take away. So we're just going to have, the ghosts be unique characters. But in this one instance of the Ghost of Christmas Past, she is,
she's Renesmee.
It says they explain
the Chucky doll from Twilight 2.
Yeah, the audio commentary of this is worth watching, but it said there was difficulty in achieving an ethereal look of the ghost. So they filmed the shots with the puppet submerged in a tank of baby oil, which proved to be expensive and difficult to keep clean. So then the remaining footage was shot with the puppet in water. So that they really were, and I love these older films because they create really creative ways to get the shots that they're looking for. Now it would just be CGI'd and it would kind of be like meh. It'd probably still be meh or it'd be fine. But I mean, yes, she was odd looking, but I think it was just her face kind of threw me off. I feel like because everyone was Muppets and she had this like a baby doll there was no Muppet in her at all. She had like this flat nose,
and he goes out to grab her hand, and her hand looks like a baby doll. Like it's like a one with weird shapes. Like it's interesting.
I would have liked her to be a little bit more Muppety. So I mean,
I understand
nightmare stuff right there.
It's nightmare.
If you go to Reddit, it says, I forgot how ... unnerving the Ghost of Christmas Past was. And I'm sure the comments are, she looks like Dark Crystal than Muppet. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, good times with her.
Going through some of these different songs, you have this whole, there goes Mr. Humbug, there goes Mr. Scrooge. And it's like, that one was a very cute song. I
think it's so great to start off with that song. It's a lot of fun. It's actually very memorable. And it just sets it off on a light note, right?
Yes.
With while simultaneously describing his character.
Yes.
And I love it. I think it's my favorite song of everything.
Yeah. And then after that, you go in and you have One More Sleep Till Christmas coming up with Kermit.
Kermit with his little weepy, very emotional songs. Rainbow Connection. Why are there so many songs about rainbows? It's like he's the guy.
Yes. The Muppet castings on this were on par. They were fantastic. Later on, you had Sam Eagle as the professor who comes up and he's like, "It's the American way." And then you have, I believe it was Gonzo was like, "No, it's British. It's the British way." These were fantastic little things. I would really like to find a page that has like the Muppet casting and not the actual.
Here's the Muppet Christmas Carol Fozziwig.
Yeah. So you have the Muppet like Fozzie coming in and they have him cast as Fezziwig, which I was like, great name play right there. But also he worked really well as his being just very jovial and happy to be there. And one of my favorite lines in the whole thing is you have Ebenezer Scrooge coming like, "Oh, it's my old boss, Mr. Fuzziwig at the rubber chicken factory." Like he says it like so real. It's just, I love it so much. The rubber chicken factory.
Oh, that's so great.
Oh, and then you have this moment where you're meeting him as a teenager, 20-year-old. I gotta say, Scrooge in his 20s is hot. I was like, man, you did it. Not only does he actually like kind of look like he could be a younger Michael Caine, like he has a similar like thing going for him, but in the film itself, I'm like, you're a good looking dude, man.
Mm-hmm.
You have other songs that are thrown in, and you have the It Feels Like Christmas song, and that is with the Ghost of Christmas Present. And I mean, how did you like that character?
The Ghost of Christmas Present, which is the big redheaded guy.
Yes.
I loved him. I thought he was a really cool, unique new character that they created. And I loved that he starts out young and youthful. And then as we're progressing through, his hair turns white as the day ends. And it's his last moments of present turning into tomorrow. You know what I mean? Even though present is always with us. But I thought that was just a really unique take that they did on him. And I loved his design. And I think typically the Ghost of Christmas Present is a large, it's Willie the Giant in Mickey, but I think he's just like larger than life. And this guy, he has the ghost possesses the ability to alter his size to fit any space and to enter any room by merely touching its exterior walls. And he was just fun. And I loved his big old cheeks and his big nose. Everything about him was just big and cute. He's a redhead.
Yes. I don't think I noticed the previous times that I've watched this that he changed his hair color as the day went on or as the experience went on. And I thought that was very, very unique. I liked it. I felt like his whole section, and then, I mean, you like take him around and it's so sad because, Scrooge is like getting all the moments of seeing how everybody looks at him like right now and how the decisions of his past have led to this moment right here. And it's really sad. But it's like it has this juxtaposition of having this jovial Ghost of Christmas Present where it's like Scrooge does not feel jovial being in the present. Right. And so it's having that juxtaposition is interesting and I like it.
Yeah.
And during this moment, he goes around and you see his nephew Fred and his family, and then you also see the Kermit the Frog and Robin coming down and singing their little Christmas song, as well as you have the Miss Piggy family of like, who cares about him? So I feel like there were a lot of pigs in that little family. They all had the exact same personality. I was like, okay, no, I see that. Yeah. So next up is God Bless Us All. And you have like this moment where the little kid comes in, and so now they're all singing and they all actually are like, yes, we need to look at things well in a positive manner, as instead of in a manner that is looking down on somebody, because let us have more grace around Christmas in that moment. And I was watching this and I'm like, this version is surprisingly accurate. I mean, I didn't really expect them to go so literal in the Christmas Carol with the Muppets, and so like they actually like there's different parts that they're like really showing what the story is, but doing it with their own little Muppety flair. And I was proud of them. Good job.
Yeah, I love that it shows the humanity of normal people, even though things are really terrible around them and it's all inflicted by one particular person for the most part. Their life could be blessed if he was just more generous and wasn't such a stickler. And,
his life could be blessed.
Yes, and gave, the rats one more lump of coal for the fire.
So, funny. I mean, here's the thing. I know my brother, I absolutely love my brother, Randy. I love you. And he laughs about it now because there was this fun moment where I was helping him in his office a couple of years ago. And he's one that is like, I don't like turning on the heater because in Arizona, it doesn't get that cold. And he would just, wear a bigger sweater. And so I was going and helping him, and I didn't bring my big sweater. And I was like, can we turn on the heater, please? I'm like, I feel like Bob Cratchit coming in. And he's just like, oh no, you've called me Scrooge. But we laugh about it because it was a really funny moment. But yeah, it's just this, there's an understandable tendency to be very frugal and to be a person that is like taking care of certain things, but while you're taking care of these things, you forget about other things. And so it's like having a balance of that, of being able to like, okay, I'm not going to focus so much on this area of life as much as I am going to trying to expand my view to include other things as well.
Yeah. So then Christmas Future happens, and this was an interesting choice. I really liked it. It was this ominous, creature, person, spirit in a robe, very dark. It almost looks like a statue you would see somewhere anciently, right? And leading him away to, what is this spirit? What am I looking at? And it ultimately discovers that it is his tombstone. Ah!
No. Well, and also that all of the townsfolk are just like, meh, glad he's dead. Nothing passed. And I mean, this is what I mean when I say that as you get older, you really start to see more parts of the story in your own life. And while I would say that I think for everyone, no matter where you are, no matter what your life has been, you get to a point where the balance between life and death come to play. And you have you've experienced enough loss, you've experienced enough life that you just have a lot of these things to compare life, and you really start to think of like, how am I using my day? How am I using my everything that I am given in my time on earth? And I never really got that as a kid when I'm watching this, but you can really see it in Michael Caine as he has this like really deep sincerity of being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that this is who I am. Because not that he's like, I can, but later comes in and he's just like, but I can change. But it's just, all of this just becomes really more poignant with age. And you just really start to feel like, how do I spend my day? How do I spend each one of the decisions that I make? And I can, you really understand why this is one of those stories that has the elements of ghosts and going back, and has an element of frivolity to it. But in order to show, and I'm just talking about the story in general, the from the book, not just the Muppet version, but I feel like the Muppet version does a really good job of showing both sides, of having that the lively side plus the side of that remembers your humanity. Well, and then you go and you see Tiny Tim, like I said, and like I'm like, they start singing this song, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, how did I get here? I'm crying. Dang Kermit, not Tiny Tim. It was a beautiful like moment of definitely being able to see how Scrooge would become so sorry for how he has lived and the choices that he's made, and now he wants to have that redemption arc. And he's like, people can change. I can change these things. These are things that may be, not are, correct? And so, and then all of a sudden he just ends up back in his room with his own bed, which honestly, his bed frame was really cool. If you look
with
at
the
that,
curtains,
with the curtains, but also like the bed posts, they have like all these diamond shaped things. And I'm like, man, that's ornate. I like it. So yeah, he comes out and he's like, what day is today? Why is Christmas Day, sir? And yeah, and then you have a completely different Ebenezer Scrooge, and he comes out singing Thankful Heart, which is like, if you looked at him from yesterday, like all these people from watching him from yesterday to today is like, who is this guy? What just happened?
Well, could you imagine? I mean, you live in this town with him, and whether you know him personally or you just kind of see him on the street or just know of his reputation, that would be so shocking. Think of the most grumpy, rude, mean person in your life and doing a complete 180 immediately.
Yes.
Overnight on Christmas morning.
And then like they run into Benson and Beaker again, and Beaker's little squeak, I almost died. This is so funny. Because he sees him and he's like, you too, and he's just like, ah, I'm gonna die. It was very cute. Yeah, it would be very weird, to say the least. Like, even if your own family member comes up and like from one day to the next, like makes that much of a change. It would be hard to think that it was sincere, but it would also just be kind of so out of character that you would have to believe it, because it's like, he can't be like pretending, because this is, I don't see him as a pretender at all in anything. So that's cool. But then he goes back to the moment where Gonzo he's like, and Tiny Tim, who did not die. I rolled. Who did not die. That was probably my other favorite quote of this whole thing.
Yes. Man, I need to add that to my thing. Just, who did not die.
At the rubber chicken factory. Those are my two favorite quotes of the whole thing. It was fantastic.
So then we have, the two songs, Thankful Heart, which is sung by Michael Caine and cast. And then the finale, When Love Is Found, It Feels Like Christmas. And
that's a nice one.
It is cute. Now, When Love Is Found is supposed to be like the flip side of a song called When Love Is Gone. And did the version you watch have this?
No.
Probably not. Okay, so When Love Is Gone, it was sung by Belle. And she's lamenting the love, or Scrooge's love for money, that it's replaced his love for her. And it was cut from the original theatrical release by Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Jeffrey!
Scrooge. And he believed it would not appeal to young viewers. This very much feels like the part of your world part, almost cutting this classic song. So instead, they put a pop version in the credits with Martina McBride. And Brian Henson objected to this all along the way. Henson said, When Love Is Gone is not in the theatrical release and is presently missing from some copies of the movie, which is a real shame. And it was really only included in some versions of A Muppet Christmas Carol at the time that were out of print. For example, the 1993 VHS and Laserdisc releases and a different UK VHS release. And then for the 2002-2005 DVD releases of the movie, it did retain the 90-minute full screen version of the film, but not the 86-minute widescreen version. And in 2012, the film does use the same disc as the 2005. It also contains the song. However, so reading from Wikipedia, a different DVD was used in the 2012 Blu-ray combo pack, which does not contain the song. Digital release says it includes it as a bonus feature. Anyways, so apparently in 2018, Henson was asked, and he was told that it's unlikely the full version or the song's going to be included in future releases because Disney had reportedly lost the original video master and film negative. But never fear. 2 years later, it was announced that the Disney archivists had found it, and it was now going to be included on all future 4K releases. However, Disney Plus was unable to include it on the 20. However, due to time constraints, Disney Plus was unable to include it on new full version Christmas 2020 streaming of the film. And anyways, so if you go to Disney Plus, the version that you watch is the theatrical version that doesn't have the song. If you move over to the extras tab, that's something I don't know if you didn't knew, but there is an extras tab for every movie. Typically, most movies just have a trailer, but some, if you're lucky, have bonus features, deleted scenes, like stuff that you would see on the physical releases. Mm-hmm. And you can watch this version if you click on the extra section. And I'm like, why did I know that? I would have watched this one instead. So anyways, that's just a little tidbit about that song. It seems like it is a beloved song, and they've gone to great lengths to try to put it back in. And, I'm glad. If Henson wants it as the original version, then we should just include that as the original version. But I know how they are with the theatrical version is the one that we need to promote.
Well, that was actually the thought that I had when it went into the Martina McBride, and I was like, I wouldn't have picked her as the final singer. I just felt like it was a very weird, it was the 90s and that's what they did. I understand that, but it would have been better had they picked someone that was less contemporary and more of a like just in line. I would have liked to have heard that. If they would have just moved that song from her doing it into the end, I'd be like, oh, what's this? That's cool. But yeah, that's Scrooge. Like, so good. It was a great movie, man. So as we're rating this, I was like, man, okay, as if I were to have watched this, or when I have watched this throughout the years, I probably would not have given it so high a score, just because it's like it would have just been seen as kind of like a funny thing. But I think now, in my maturity, I have come to really appreciate how everything played out, and I give it 4.5 stars.
Yeah. I didn't grow up with this one. So I feel like I'd vaguely seen it, been aware of it. That initial song, thought, oh yes, I've definitely heard this before. And I feel like I don't know. It's like even within the past 10 years. But then I forgot about it. And I watched it again, and I was just captivated with this movie. Everything about it, from the character design to the acting. Michael Caine is incredible as Scrooge, and he is so right. You could plop his Scrooge into a Broadway or a play or just another adaptation of it, and he would be perfect and fit right in with that. And it's really masterful what he does, and he really makes this movie what it is. I think he is he more important than the Muppets? And I'd say yes.
Yes.
He's the most pivotal, important character here. Obviously, he is the main character. But he is not outshone by the Muppets. He is the star. And we really see his progression and his story arc and his down moment and how he's overcome. And I think that just goes to just how iconic and how classic and timeless the original book is. And the themes that are discussed about redemption and reflecting back on your life, and it's never too late to change, and realizing your mistakes, and instead having an attitude of gratitude and generosity and going forward with that. I love it. I think it's just a classic, and they've paid homage to it so well. And this is absolutely classic. I think I want to give it 4.5 stars, if not a very, very rare 5 stars for me.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give it a 5 stars. I just adored everything about this. Well, except for the creepy Ghost of Christmas.
Knocked off point.
Yeah. Okay, 4.5, because you're almost there.
Oh, man. I liked your point that they never outshowed, nobody outshowed him. Like, all the Muppets were playing around him, and that was clear. Like, he owned the whole part, he owned the story, and everyone else was just playing around him. And I liked that. Like, man, Michael Caine, lots of respect from the Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
The Rubber Chicken Factory.
I mean, he probably didn't. I feel like he should have been nominated for an Academy Award, but
I agree.
Let's see. For just the music itself was
in a better world, he would have been.
Yeah. No. Yes. And the fact that they probably saw this just as a kid's movie and didn't take it seriously, but absolutely should have been. Yeah.
Well, okay. Let us know what you guys think. You can go to rotoscopers.com/voicemails. Leave us a voicemail, or you can call us at 406-646-6575. We'd love to hear from you. How are you spending the holiday weekend or weeks? We'd love to hear that.
What films are you watching? What are your go-tos?
Yeah, tell us what your favorite holiday movie is. That's what I would like to know in your voicemail.
Yes. Also, you can leave us a comment on Twitter. We are trying to be more active there, so you can message us there and we will be talking back. It's mostly me. It is me. So yeah, it's me 100%, but definitely want to build that community up more and more and more. So go give us a follow on X. And until next time, we are the Rotoscopers. So of course, Fridays for the past 5-6+ years are where 2 of my neighbors get their yard work done. This is why I frequently would never record on Fridays, because there's constantly leaf blowers and lawn mowers, all the mowers all the machines running outside.
I mean, what other day would you do it? Friday's the best day.
I can hear the humming.
I cannot.
Leaf blower, but as long as you can't, hopefully that's good enough. So unfortunately, I was like, oh, I'm doing prep. I was not doing prep because Mom, turn on Winnie Pooh happened. And unfortunately, despite all my best efforts, the only Winnie the Pooh he wants to watch is Pooh Bear, Winnie the Pooh Bear, which means we got about 20 minutes before I'm interrupted. I'm going to try after this one to move him on over to a full-length, feature-length movie. But
I mean, you could turn on A Year Without a Santa Claus. See how he likes that?
I can. However, he's dead set on watching one Winnie the Pooh and this particular Winnie the Pooh.
Got it.
So despite everything that I do, so I'm just going to pull up.
It's all good. Like I've written in our notes at least 3 times. Sorry, my dog is really annoyed with me because we were supposed to go out already and I pushed it back. And so she's like, excuse you.
Yeah.
But sorry. Yeah. Okay, honey, we'll go out later. Okay. Yeah. Montana, we go out later. We wait right now. You need to clean up. I will clean up when I'm done. Wait until I'm done.
Start over. I'm so sorry.
He told you. Need to do that.
He's the worst. He demands.
This job was here. This is Fuzzy-Wig's old rubber chicken factory.
Once again, it's Christmas Eve.
That's like, there's just so much sincerity. This is his rubber chicken factory.
That is probably the only silly line that he permitted, right?
Yeah, the only thing. It was amazing. Okay, that's all. I just wanted to make sure that was on.
Of course, conveniently, now that we're done, all the noise has stopped.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
Yeah, that's how they do it, huh?
Fuzzy-Wig's old rubber chicken factory.
You've been listening to the Animation Addicts podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to help spread the word, be sure to share the podcast with your friends on social media. Just don't forget to tag us at Rotoscopers on Instagram and use the hashtag AnimationAddicts. For all the links and full show notes for this episode, go to rotoscopers.com/podcast. Now, if you still can't get enough for your animation fix, be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and visit rotoscopers.com for more animation news, reviews, and interviews. Thanks for listening.